space that's around him. He's lightning fed by the space that surrounds him. Take it all in. Breathe. Forever be. Forever.
Hey, welcome to Unsung. I'm your host, Blake Quimby. And before we get started today, I want you to just take a couple of seconds and follow us on these platforms, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. We want you along for the journey as we talk with those lifting the limelight in their area in a supporting role. Well, my guest today has 20 plus years of experience as a producer, as a musician, as an audio engineer, and he recently was married. So he's a newlywed. He's also a good friend of mine. Why don't you welcome Mr. Joey Allen?
How you doing, Blake, man? Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, man, welcome to Unsung. I just love, always love your look. You always look so fresh, man. Always so
Yeah, I made sure
fresh.
I made sure I look fresh for you. I got the hat, I
Yeah,
made
yeah,
sure
yeah,
everything
yeah.
was crispy.
Hey, it's been a long week, buddy. It's okay. Well, man, thanks for coming on. Hey, let's just get into it, man. You're from Houston, right?
Born and raised from Houston, Texas, bro. Like, you know how it is. Well, I would say I'm born and raised from all over Houston. I've been from the north side to the south side, the east and west. So I'm bred. I'm bred from Houston, bro.
That's great. And your family is still here locally as well in Houston?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Houston. My dad is in Richmond, Texas, and everybody else is in the southwest side.
Are you kidding me? He lives in Richmond? Dude, that's where
Yeah,
that's my neck of the woods, man.
well, it's far. It's pretty far from everybody.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to give him a little shout because I know he's a talented musician, right? I mean, he's a guy that you emulate a little bit, don't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He taught me pretty much everything I know about music, and then I just took it from there. But my dad was the start of everything, my whole career.
And talk a little bit about that. Tell me about your dad. How did he get rolling with music? Here in the Houston area, predominantly, or where?
Yeah, he started in the Houston area. I started working with some churches. He used to play for Lakewood before Lakewood was Lakewood.
Wow.
People like Kim Burrell, John P. Key. I started a band called the Heat Band, and man, went on some tours. My dad was doing it big, man, and a lot of the entertainers that you see today, he's played with, So people like uh, what's the name of this guy?
Oh, that guy. You
El
know that guy.
DeBarge. El
Yeah, divorce.
El
There you
DeBarge. Yeah.
go.
El DeBarge came over our house and chilled and ate my mom's chicken noodle soup, and it was just in love with her cooking. So yeah, man, he's been the catalyst to a lot of ministries and bands. So yeah,
And it seems like you're following in his footsteps a little bit. Would you say?
yes, yes. Even though I didn't plan it that way, it seems like what he instilled in me is just coming out naturally. That I'm doing the same along the same lines of what he does, building up different ministries and building up different teams and production, teams and, teaching. My dad used to teach drums as well. So yeah, we're doing the same thing. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing how our parents have such a stamp on our life, right? I mean, just someone
Yeah.
like you that grew up in it, grew up in the music, grew up in the family, whatever, and now you're carrying that on. You think this is something that you want your kids once you guys get there um, to carry on as well, or what do you think? I mean, this is it's a crazy lifestyle, right? I mean, it's busy, right?
Yeah, it's one of the things I've asked myself, like, would you want your children to go through this? It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak.
Sure.
It's a lot of no's and disappointments, and depression because you're not where you want to
Mm,
be and everything is not going the way you want to go. But then when you have those successful moments, those moments of like, oh my God, yes, I finally got to a plateau I want to be at. That feeling is nothing like you know I've ever experienced in the world. It's probably the reason why I keep doing this.
mm,
Uh, but overall, for my kids, I just want them to do uh, what they are called to do. From God. It's really not about what I want. It's about what God wants for their lives, and
yeah.
that's what my parents instilled in us when we were growing up. It was kind of like, hey, we're not going to control what God is planning to do with your life. So we just naturally evolved into these different people. My sister's in nursing. My
Wow.
other sister, she's a beautician, and my brother, he's a singer, writer, producer. He's everything I am, but he's the younger version, and he's better than me, but he's not better looking.
Joey, let's be honest. No one's better looking. You got it going on, man. You got it going on, man. Glasses or no glasses, you still bring it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, I'm
goodness.
looking at myself like I look so different without glasses, but
Oh, no, no, no.
but yeah, man. My kids, man. I just want what's best, and hopefully my wife, she feels like giving me kids because she's like,
Well,
no.
yeah, I'm sure. Hey, let's talk about your wife. You're a newlywed, so welcome to the game. It's a long game.
thank,
It's
thank
a
you.
fun game.
It's fun.
How did you? What's your wife's name?
Her name is Bethany.
Okay, how did you and Bethany meet?
It's it's a beautiful story.
Hey,
We
give me the short romantic version.
so romantic person. We met at church. She was a
Yeah.
singer on the praise team, and I was the drummer. And
Okay.
we would just play and minister, and doing reaching out to people, talking to people, and I think I just fell in love with her spirit. Her
Yeah.
spirit of she just loves the Lord, and she's singing for the Lord, and she has a
Mm.
beautiful voice, and I was smitten. I was smitten. The name of the oh, let me shout out the church. The name of the church is called the Life Church in Baytown, and
Okay.
that is where we met. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so she's a singer too.
Yes, she is a
Yep.
singer. She is a singer. She has a wonderful voice, beautiful voice.
Well, man,
Hopefully one day y'all
congratulations. I
hear.
know, getting married. I think is the was one of the highlights of my life as well, and it's been a fun journey. We're heading into year 15, so we're getting there. But I'm telling you, have fun. That's my only advice. Is just laugh a lot. Don't just laugh a lot, man. Have fun with it. Beautiful couple. And I think it seems to me that your family is important to you. Your mom, dad, sister, brother. That's all important, and your wife now is your family, so that's even more fun, right? Um,
Yes.
and so let's talk a little bit about your life as a producer, right? You have a production company called Av Audio, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit Av Audio, and also tell me about Creative Minds, and then we'll chat about a few other things.
Okay. Yeah. Av Audio was created about a year back. It derives from a company I started with my brother when I was about 16 years old, called Beat Boy Entertainment, and we started that label and production company. Um, Man, it seems like about 20 years ago.
Wow.
And so we were very successful. We've been on Channel Two, a bunch of interviews, a couple movie scores. Me and my brother were doing it really, really big, and my dad was our manager, and so
Wow.
we had a good run, and so everything kind of just evolved into something different. So I wanted to rebrand the company, and I named it Ab Audio. Shout out to my boy Lucas. He's the one that gave me the name, and he was like, why don't you just name it after yourself? And my name, my alias is Joey Ave,
Right.
and
Right.
And so I thought, name it Av Audio. I feel like that would be a dope name. And so I just wanted to recreate something that was already established, and that's
Yeah.
where it came from. And we basically at this point, I'm now getting a bunch of producers and writers together, um, and photographers and choreographers, and really getting a bunch of people together to basically fit all the needs or fill all the needs of Houston.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of artists don't have artist development companies. There's nothing like that really in Houston. And so when you go to Atlanta or LA or New York, there are plenty of places for artist development and building up artists and making sure they have everything they need to succeed in their careers. However, in
Mhm.
Houston, it's just really not like that. And so it was always my dream to have a company to where you can go get a video done with dancers for videographers, choreographers, and while you're doing that, they're mixing your record in the other room that you just did, and somebody helping you with the PR department and social media department, and really just a one-stop shop. That's what that's what B-Boy was supposed to be, and so that's what we set out to do. And a lot of people that we worked with over the past 15, 20 years, we did that. We gave them artist development, and we made sure everything they had coming out of that session, it sounded great. You can go to any
Mhm.
label, any industry. Oh man, and I got a few people signed. So
Wow.
um, and so that's what I wanted to create. So now Av Audio is that, and that brings me to Creative Minds, which is a separate company of friends of mine, and Alex and Omar, and they're awesome individuals. They're very talented in videography and photography, and so they're the first paired company that I'm pairing with to bring that one stop shop to fruition.
Man, that's awesome. So, I remember when I was younger, I never, let's be real honest. When you start out in music or doing anything musically, you're like, okay, I'm going to make it. Like, this is going to be it, right? And majority of the time, you don't really know what to expect. You don't know if people will even bring you in to do anything, even if you're involved with churches or clubs or whatever you do in event stuff, you don't know. And so it's really important to have people in your back court and front court that are helping you with your career, whether it be as big or as minimal as you want it to be. Because the music industry definitely is different now, right? I mean, from
Yes.
when your dad grew up to when we're right at now. So it's different. So there needs to be that base that artists can feel comfortable creating, but also because being an artist, they're not always the most administratively minded people, right? I mean, they're genius with creation, but you probably know
Yes.
firsthand
Yes. Yes.
that the artists need help. And so I think that's really interesting that you're creating that over the many years of just that base of that support, and that helps to push an artist maybe even to that next level, right? I mean, you even talked about just being signed by a label or whatever it is. Does that give you a sense of accomplishment in your life? How do you feel when you see an artist that you've invested a lot of time in, a lot of, you know, a blood, sweat, and tears, I guess you'd say? What do you feel when they get to maybe they get that big gig, maybe they get that sign? How does that make you feel, man?
It to me, it's the best feeling in the world because a lot of times we feel alone as creators,
Yeah.
and so when you come together with some people and you succeed in giving them everything they need to go to the next level of their career and actually establish it and be successful. And then success, everybody say, "Oh, if you're not Beyonce, success and that is relative because you can have 20,000 fans and live a very comfortable life." And so that feeling to me is why I keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Why I press forward and I keep moving forward and innovating and changing myself, reinventing myself. My father always told me to reinvent yourself, and so I practice that by giving those teachings that my father gave me to the artists. hey, this was working like this. Okay, it got you to this level. So now let's recreate it. Let's build another foundation under you, so that we can get you to another level. Now, I will say this: it's not without its hardships. Sometimes artists are not willing to change. They're not. They don't want to change. They
Well,
don't
they
want to
could,
move. You know.
well, I think it's because they see what they think they want to be, right? I think
Mhm.
sometimes, um, and I'm not a producer at all, but sometimes I think we need to get them to see what maybe they could be. What maybe there's things that they're not that they could do, and it could be small, little, right,
Mhm.
or big thing, right? But
Small, big thing.
you're a
Yeah.
visionary, right? I mean, that's what producers do. I mean, they're that envision. So it's interesting, huh? Working with the artists, right?
Yeah, they could be very adamant on what they want, and that's not a problem. And so we as producers have to be psychologists. I was talking to a group of friends of mine the other day. I'm not gonna want to name any names, but they play for very famous people, very famous
Sure.
people, and we were talking about how we have to evolve into psychologists and
Mm-hmm.
talk to these artists, uh, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, because sometimes they may be going through something and you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It may be some trauma behind the music, because sometimes we create the best art and the most beautiful art through traumatic experiences. So they have a huge attachment to it, and so as producers, we have to say, I understand that attachment, but we want to change that attachment so it sounds great. I want to take what you have, this box, this present that you're trying to give to the world, and we're going to put a better wrapper around it,
That's good.
and listen to them and talk to them. And sometimes you got to encourage them. You got to pray for them.
Mm.
Man, you have to really evolve into a people person. You can't be an introverted person trying to
That'd be
trying to do
difficult.
artist development and trying to build a career and help them, with whatever vision they have. You have to become something else. And I feel like I used to be very, everybody that knows me, I used to be soft spoken, very soft spoken. I whispered, I trailed off,
Sure.
how you say something loud. I used to do that, and very shy person. I think over the years of doing exactly what we were just talking about, building and seeing a vision and being able to articulate and not so much, it's not controlling, but it's just helping people see what they cannot see,
Yeah. Yeah.
and pulling the shades and be like, look, this is what it could be. I think I've evolved into another person of uh, that's very very straightforward, a straightforward shooter,
Mm.
kind of telling them, hey man, look, I'm just trying to help you, and whether you
Well,
do what I
yeah.
want you to do or not, um, I really want you to know that I'm on your side. We at Av Audio, me and Creative Minds, we're trying to give you exactly what you envisioned, and we want to make it great. We want to spread it to the entire world. But
Mm.
if you just give me this one little thing, it'll work. It'll work. And so far, it's been helping us. It's been working, and I'm just proud of who God has called me to be and created me to be.
Yeah. So that leads to a question: what is your philosophy as a music producer? Would you be someone who's really transparent with an artist? Let them create their own sound. You work together, or do you have like a signature sound that that you're going for? What's your philosophy on that?
It's a case by case basis, because sometimes uh, you have to sit back a little bit and see the whole Christmas tree. If you're too close, you're not gonna, have the proper vision. So sometimes, letting the artist get their entire idea, whatever they have to present to the world, whatever
Right.
art they're trying to present to the world, let them get it out, and then after you see it, then say, okay, we're gonna fix it and move it here. Most of the time, that's how I operate in the studio. Now, a lot of times, artists come to me and they have no idea what they want to do. Nothing. Nothing. They don't have no idea. They like, Joey, just do it. Do your work, Joey. Just let me know what I need to do. When it comes to situations like that, it's starting with the basics, down to, okay, what are you trying to say?
Yeah,
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to do? How am I going to be able to take what you want and bring it to the forefront? And then a lot of times artists, they don't know until we have conversations like we're having right now. Philosophy,
sure.
religion, politics, everything. From racism to down to um, the girl we saw in the club.
Sure.
A
Yeah.
beautiful woman in the club.
It
It
all,
doesn't
yeah.
matter, and we go from
Hmm.
there. And that's a building process you know of creating something beautiful, especially when it comes to lyrical side, or what the concept of the music is going to be, what the concept of the album is going to be, or the project or the EP, whatever it is. And then we go from there, and then we say, okay, now we start doing melodies, and melodies, that's easy. Creating the music part, that's easy. But the concept, oh, that's the
Sure.
hard part. That's the hard part. So I have different ways. Sometimes I play back. I sit
Yeah.
back and I just let the artist do what they want to do. Get it all out. Get it all out. Let's all the ideas that you have in there. Let's just get it out. Let's just record it.
Yeah.
And then after we record it, we sit back and both of us together, or the whole team, if it's managers and producers, we all listen to it and say, okay, let's fix this. Let's move this here. And sometimes we have to start from scratch. So it just depends on the situation.
Yeah. What do you think your best quality as a producer is?
I would say patience. I know people that are watching this, they're laughing their butt off. Yeah, patience. Some artists are very hard to work with.
Hmm.
They have their motive, they have their
Yep.
engine, and they don't want to move from it. And so sometimes you have to just be patient with them and allow them to just to release what they have in their spirit. A lot of times they don't want anybody to tell them that. Let me just get it out. Let me just get it
Sure.
out first, and then you can help with it. Um, and just I think that's my number one. Um, that's my number one superpower.
Your superpowers.
Patient.
Yeah.
Just because dude, I cap you not. A lot of times, I talk to other producers, and they be like, "Oh my God, this person here is out of their mind.
Oh,
This
sure.
person is off their rocker." And so when you have that, and you know what? This is a question I want to ask you. I know
Yeah.
this is an interview, but
No, you hit
this
me
is a
up,
question
man.
I
Let's
want.
go.
Do you think that artists have to be a little crazy? I know that sounds messed up, but I'm saying, like,
Well,
they have to think outside of the box a lot of times to create this art. And
yeah.
sometimes it's not based in logic, it's based in whatever they deem, is the logic. Do you feel like they have to be a little crazy or what?
Well, first of all, Joey, I just want to go on the record right now to the world and say that we are all a little crazy. We're all just a little crazy. Some of us are a little bit more crazy, and then we have people on the spectrum where they're just like, "Oh, there's no, sorry, put them in
Oh,
a home or
there.
something." Like I don't know, but I will say that I think that we have so much collateral damage in our life. We have so
Hmm.
much
Hmm.
things, so many things that are, and good and bad, but like
Yeah.
we have so many things, and I think when you find a true artist who's a true lyricist and a writer, then they're writing all the time. I think,
Hmm.
but there's so much to process through pain, through joy, through all these different things in our life, and I think
Hmm.
sometimes we, artists get maybe just like again they see that what they want, but they need to kind
Hmm.
of trim that fat man and be real
Hmm.
direct. Um, so yes, I think we're all a little crazy to begin with, but I think if we harness that correctly and we kind of take it all in, we feel that pain or we feel that joy or whatever, and we process it, because I think time is really the only thing that can help us, right? But writing a
Yeah.
song can be so good for our minds, for our hearts. And I know that sounds weird, like coming from me,
No.
but
No,
I
you're right.
think that that's so good. It's a way, it could be considered therapy, right? Writing songs, getting things out,
Mm, mm,
because we as people, we've got to get things out, man. We've got to be, and the beautiful thing, and I think you would agree with this, is that God created us to be creative.
mm,
There's
mm, mm,
no, there's no, there's no middle ground with that. We're created to be creative, to
mm,
create. So,
mm.
so yes, a little crazy, but it's all good because it's part of the cake, right? It's
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. It's part of it. I will say, getting that's a perfect answer. Sometimes you have to look past that and know that this person may be going through something
Yeah,
and they may need to use this music as therapeutic ways to get past certain trauma, certain situations. And so when you're dealing with that type of person, whether it be man or woman, a child or adult, um, you have to have patience. You
sure.
have to have patience with them, and show them that, listen, I'm on your side, I'm on your team. I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you. I just want you to know that, dude, like we all been through the same thing. You're just choosing an outlet to either process or get over whatever it is that you're
Yeah,
going through.
sure.
And so let me help you. Let me help you with that.
That's so good. Yeah, that's so great. It's almost like a trust tree. We need that, right? As when you create. Um, and I know you do every facet of it, from the writing to the maybe even discovering of artists. I'm sure that's part of what you do.
Mhm.
The mixing, the mastering.
Absolutely.
Apart from this, well, really, just the whole process of what you do. What do you enjoy? Do you love? I mean, because I've heard your mixes. I've heard everything you've. I've heard a lot that you've done. It's all high quality. Sounds great. Is there one aspect you're like, man, I love the whole thing. I love the whole taco, but I really
Mhm.
love this little part.
Um, One of the things I am just infatuated with, and not in uncertain terms, infatuated with. This gets me out of bed every day.
Great.
Is producing, and but only I'm hearing the melodies and everything from God. I know
Good.
it sounds like I'm stretching, but I promise you, I have been woken I was 12. I've been woken out of bed like in the middle of the night, knowing I got to get up for school in the morning, and I have to put down what I hear in my head. Like I know it sounds so strange, but I can't sleep until I get it out. I gotta get it out. I gotta play it. I gotta get and I can hear the melodies, I can hear it. And then once I finish it, it's this euphoria of like goosebumps.
Mm,
Quincy Jones said sometimes you know when it's good music by your own body giving you the goosebump effect. If you get goosebumps, then somebody else is going to hear this and get the same effect. And so and it's just not, it sounds narcissistic to be like, oh, well, I created this and so it gave me goosebumps. No, it's more like I don't get goosebumps for everything I create, but I know when it comes from the heavens and I put
mm,
it down, and I know it didn't really come from my psyche, it came from what God was speaking to me at that time. Um, and I put it down, it's like, and I hear it for the first time fully done, man, that feeling is incredible. But also from different people, from my wife, she has a lot of songs in my library of production. The songs I put out, iTunes and Spotify right now. Um, Being in love with her, and
nice.
putting down and that feeling that I feel, and being able to put that down on music and put it in music, and actually listen back to it. It creates this euphoria of listening back to it and reminding myself what I was going through at the time, what I was feeling at the time about her and what happened.
Mm. Mm.
And so those little moments like that really bring tears to my eyes because it is the very nature of music, which is beyond these four walls, beyond
Wow.
uh, time and space. It's frequencies, and when we hear those frequencies, those vibrations, they give us a feeling, that we can't describe sometimes.
Yes.
So being a producer and feeling that while I'm producing, man, I tell you, that's the that's a feeling that I cannot get over. I'm addicted to it.
Well, I mean, music connects us. That's, I mean, that's what it is. Many times I find myself in church, loving the music part of it. I mean, depending where I'm at, but loving the music aspect of it. Sometimes more than the message, although the message is king, and I love the Word of God. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, some weeks, I just connect into a song or whatever we're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
God created it that way. He
Yes.
created for us to connect. I mean, you think about so many different times where music intervened in the scriptures, and I mean, even to soothe Saul, David came and played for him. That's something. And so I think I think we can definitely agree on this. Is like there's times in our lives where we know, right, where there's something other than ourselves helping us create, and we know that that's the
Mm-hmm.
Lord. And so I don't think that's
Mm-hmm.
crazy at all, man. I tell you something, man. I One time I was playing at a church when I was young, like 8 or 9, and I would go boo doo 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 doo, and this guy came up to me after. He goes, "Hey, man, when you go around on those drums, it's too loud." And I went, he goes, who told you to do that? I looked him straight in the eye. I had no like, I didn't even pause. I said, "Well, God told me to do it." You know? I was like, so when you wake up and you have those things, it's like God's giving you that gifting. He's giving you that vision. You roll with
Yes.
it. And then the cool thing is that you get to record things with your wife, and then maybe you get a kiss afterwards. That's the bonus, right? That's the bonus right there, right? Little kiss, little peck here. That's it.
Yeah, just a little peck, just a little smack. We don't want to kiss in front of everybody, baby. Come on, let's just say that for the house.
Yeah, save for the
But
house. Just give me a little one. Huh? So
yeah.
that's exciting, man. And then you're also a musician. So I met you through a friend, and I saw you play, and I was just like, so it was so much excitement in what you did. And this is probably, I don't know, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. And I saw you play, and then we brought you out to this one thing we did at this little tiny church, and you beat the fire out of these drums. I was like, man, like only 10 people show up. We're just gonna blow it up, and it was so much fun. But then you also like before we play, you get on this keyboard and you start just hammering out these chords. I'm thinking, Joey, I don't even need to be here. Like you just need to take it, son. Just go for it. And it was fun. So you have this producer side, right? And then you have like this musician side, and
Mm,
and you've been a backing musician for many years from many different artists, kind of in
mm,
that behind that limelight. And I'm sure you've had a lot of funny things happen. I'm sure you've had a lot of questionable things happen. Um, but your main thing is drumming. That's what you do. Drums. You that's what you're known for. I believe so.
mm.
Um, and uh, it seemed like you've been doing it for a while. So like, how do you remember your first gig? You remember your first time like someone said, "Hey, here's $50, come play for me." Do you have that moment that you can remember?
Yes, yes. So this interview is going to be featuring my father a lot. So
Awesome.
my father um, used to play for this church that started in a hotel, and this is the one I can remember. I'm probably a little hazy on the first one, but I feel like this is the first one in my eyes. Um, so I used to sit behind him everywhere he went. I would sit on the side of him or behind him.
Yeah.
And so he would be playing, and I would just have my sticks, and I'm just mimicking what he's doing or whatever. And so it got to the point where one night, I think, okay, we played at a church at a hotel, and he was playing, and he started wanting me to do offering, tithes and offering. People come up and they get a tithes and offering, and so the musicians just stopped playing, whatever, they just stopped playing the song, and everybody's like, okay, I remember that song. And so he used to let me play, and so I started playing, and I think I did, well, in my mind I was like, oh, it was horrible, but everybody else was like, wow, and they would come up and be like, I didn't know he could play like that. They would just be like flabbergasted, like, dude, you can play so well. Like, how old are you? And at the time, I was like maybe 7 or 8,
Wow.
And so he started doing that more and more. So I started getting more comfortable. So I think about the age of like 8 or 9, I started playing for. So he went on to play for another ministry, and then he gave me the job to play at this church at the hotel,
Wow.
and so I just started playing, and then so then they started paying me. I think well, he was like, no, make sure you pay my son in for his time, whatever. And so yeah, I got like $100, I think,
Come on.
for service. And back then I was like, well, I'm balling, like $100, like what? And so after that, that was more of a non-denominational type of church, so
Yeah.
it was more like Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin,
Come
stuff
on.
like that.
Jesus be a fence.
So then that night we go to a Baptist church, Baptist Pentecostal church,
Oh yeah.
and on fire for God. And they don't do any of the Kirk Franklins, and they do hymns, and they gonna do what do you know about Jesus? What he
Hmm.
done? So they doing that, and you have to become a different type of drummer, and so
Mm,
I would help him play that, and man, that's a different type of muscle, brother. You gotta be in shape. You can't be slacking. And
no.
but long story short, yeah, I mean that was the day I played a morning service and a night service, and yeah, man, we had fun, and people were just impressed. So after that, he was like, "Son, this is a tool. This is something
Sure.
that you can use that can feed your family, that can provide for you for a long time if you respect it and take care of it. It'll take you a long way." And so that was the
Yeah,
start.
that same thing happened for me. I literally wanted to play drums. I was 8 years old, and the guy at the church was like, "Listen, come up, whatever, for a week." So I come up for a couple weeks or whatever, and I'm sitting there, and I remember in a still chair, I'm just watching this guy play. And then one day they're like, "Hey, this guy's not going to be there." And I'm like, "What? Okay, so can you play?" So I started playing, and then I saw him walk in to the back of the church, and I went, "Oh, he's here. I don't have to play anymore." And then he just heads out, and I don't ever see him. Like he's just gone. He's gone. Last time I saw him, I was like, "No, I'm only 8." See that's amazing because that we need that. I always tell my son, "Hey, come up and just watch the drummer. Whoever's there, just sit on the stage, watch." That's the best way to go about it. What is when you're playing? Who is somebody that you would love to collab with? I know you've done a lot, but who would you love to work with at this stage in your life?
Oh man, um, there's a few people. Um, as far as being a drummer, uh, I would say one of my good friends, Leland. Leland is an awesome musician, and when we minister together at Gateway Church, I play with him, on the stage. But I would love to do a record with him, playing drums for him on his music. Um, that's one person definitely. I would say, man, there's so many people. That's a really tough question. I would say um, Maverick City.
Hmm.
That whole ministry is just, man, on fire. I would love to play for them. Um, I've played for Beyonce on a couple of records. Uh, Back in the day when I was like 16, 17, some in
Oh,
studio records. I was an intern for Music World, and so I played drums like on a record, but
yeah.
I never really got to play for her live, and so I
Yeah,
think
what
that
was
would be
what was
dope
that like playing for her in that live studio? How did that roll? How'd you
oh
feel in
man.
that moment? Because come on, let's think about this. There, you go from like you're playing this one little church, right, and then now you're doing this, right, and you're doing a record
Mhm,
or a song or whatever it is for her.
mhm.
I mean, there has to be a moment. I mean, for me, I'm sure I had one moment in my life like this where I'm like, I'm doing something like, man, I'm doing this thing. Like I'm doing it. Like, mom, look at me. No more training wheels. I'm doing it. If I mess up, it's over. But I'm doing it. I'm falling face first. How did you feel in that moment? Just doing the tracks you did for her.
Man, I was super young, dude. At the time, I didn't really know what I was doing because it was like I would go to school and I would get out of school and the producers that were working for the studio, the Bama Boys. Shout out to the Bama Boys. What's up? Um, they were I was interning for them, and so they would pick me up, take me to the studio, and we would spend hours and hours and hours recording stuff, playing. I would play drums. You know what I'm saying? Helping out with different things, and so uh, afterwards it would be nighttime. It would be like 10 or 11 in the morning. It's in LA at night, and so I would haven't even touched my homework. Okay, I didn't even breathe over it yet,
Yeah,
and so I'm
your mom might want to
exhausted.
stop watching right now and be like, "What, mom? Don't watch now, please."
Yeah, I never told her that. I never told. I was like, oh yeah, I did it at the studio.
It's an exclusive only here on Unsung. Okay.
And so I would and I would go to sleep barely, waking up to barely able to do my homework, and I would go to sleep, wake up, and do it all over again. So it was just like it was a blur because I was just doing, whatever they asked me to do. It was
Sure.
like, okay, I was just a part of the team. Whatever. Hey, we're finna do this. Okay, we're finna play this, and da 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 da. And and then they would tell me, "Oh, well, you're on this track with B," or "Oh, hey, you got a song with Solange," or "Hey, you're on this soundtrack. By the way, this movie's coming out in a couple of weeks. You're whatever the case may be." I would be doing it, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing, like you said, I was doing what I always dreamed of doing and what I love to do, but I really didn't care how I did it. Long as I did it, long as I was there. So it was just like, okay, whatever. Hey man, whatever you need, I got you. And then I started meeting different stars and being in different, places with very very famous people, and I was just like, I was young, dude. I just didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, whatever. I
You
don't
were
really
in the
care.
moment, man. You were just
I
you
was in
were in
the
perfecting slog. You were just like doing it. I mean, it's like you're in your prime, right? I mean, you're just going for it.
yeah.
I don't. I still think you're in your prime, by the way. But yeah, I mean, those moments are things that you just sometimes you're like, I'm just go do this track. Okay, great, I'll do this, right? And you're just
Mhm.
rolling. Like literally look back at 15 years of marriage, thinking, how did we get to this point? And that's kind of what you're at. You're like, man, I was just living life. I was just doing stuff, right?
Just
And this stuff
yeah.
happened along the way. There's a lot to be said about the life of a musician, and it's hard, it's fun, it's exciting, it's nothing for some seasons, right? It's $50, $25 here. um Man, how do you keep up the integrity that you've established over the years? How do you keep that up knowing that there's an ebb and flow here? you know,
Mhm.
Doing what you do, it's up, it's down. How do you keep your
Mhm.
integrity with each project, you know, each gig you get? How does that? How do you stabilize that?
Man, I really feel like honestly, it's how it's raised. Uh, my father,
He's
once
the
again
man.
is being featured in this interview.
Yeah.
Um, told me to be number one in everything that I do.
Wow.
Always be number one. Always be number one. The reason why I say I used to be very shy, very very coy, is because it's just who I am. But my father, he used to tell me, "Hey, listen, what is your word? Your word is confidence. Be confident. Tell me, I'm confident. Confidence. In fact, I think I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says confidence
Let's do it.
because that word is something that we need in our lives, our everyday lives. Sometimes we just need confidence to step out on faith and trust that God is going to make a way, or confidence to keep going in that job that we have no idea what we're doing, but we're just going to have confidence to know that God is going to make a way. I'm going to be all right. Um, that whole scenario of my father instilling that in me constantly and being number one, always be number one, get the best looking woman. You want it, you see that woman, if you want her, you go get her. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you get on these drums, you're gonna be the best drummer you ever been in your entire life. I don't care what you have to do. You're gonna practice until you die. Okay?
Yeah.
He would instill this into me. And so everything that I do now, I have to be number one. I have to be the best. Or I have to be that integrity of being, no, I'm not going to slack on this. I'm not
Mm,
going to backdoor this. No, no, no. We're going to push it through, and it's going to be the best. And we're going to make sure if we have to work all night, or wee hours in the morning,
yeah.
whatever I do. So whether it's on the set, whether it's engineering, whether it's production, whether it's motivating, whether it's being a friend, a brother, whatever I'm doing. Um, Even this interview. Okay, you see this background.
Yeah.
Okay, you see this you see this
You
fit.
see all
Okay,
these
I'm trying to
horses right
make
here,
sure.
these horses right here. They're applauding you as they're galloping. The horses.
It's just everything I have to be number one, number one, and so that is the reason why my father, him in my head constantly, and I thank him for him. I
Mm,
thank God for him.
yeah, that's important to have a good father, a earthly father that is so present in your life is so important. Would you say what you just said? That's your inspiration, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Sounds like it to
absolutely,
me.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother too. My mother was a very she was a stylist, and so
Come
everything
on.
stylistically
Well, see, now that makes
in
total
terms
sense now, Joey, that you look you I mean, one day you got these beautiful long flowing locks, the other day you got a hat on, the next day you got like glasses, you come in with a nice shirt on, like you got these boots. I'm like, this guy, he knows style. Like this, I'm just saying, you know?
yeah, man, my mother. She if you see her now, you see her Facebook. She always got a new hairdo, new style, new look, and they taught us at a very young age to innovate, to move forward. Don't be stuck in the past.
Sure.
Sometimes change is good. Change is
Yeah.
good. Sometimes a
It
new
is
look.
good.
Um, my my beautiful wife, the locks were her idea. And I was just
Love
like,
it.
okay, well,
You just do whatever
you
she
know,
said. Hey, that's another marriage tip. If she's watching,
yeah.
Bethany, I got you, girl. Just whatever she says, you do it, Joey, or else, man, you done. You
I
are done. That's all I got.
I do whatever she tell me.
Well, man, I as we round out our time together, dude, we have so much more to talk about, but I want to ask you a few quick questions. Two more, but um, what advice would you give a young guy, young woman starting out as a musician, as an artist? What is one thing you can tell them that would encourage them today?
Oh man, never give up. I would say it sounds very cliche, but we get a lot of no's. We get a lot of no's, a lot of doors shut in our face. Always be number one. Always be number one and never give up. So everything that you do with the highest form of integrity, and know that God is going to make a way. We can't see, we can't see what's in front of us sometimes, but we still have to walk forward. So just continue to walk forward and know that your steps are ordered.
Hmm.
Your steps are ordered. If it is for you, it is for you, and believe and trust that God is going. He's in control. I'm sorry. I hate to be so cliche. A lot of
Yeah,
times people come on here and they say the most mundane thing of uh of like, well, be the best that you can be. No, you just know that God is. If you put this in you and you wake up in the morning and everything that you hear is music, or everything that you hear is this industry, and you know that you are in the will of the Lord, step out on faith and keep going. Be number one. Have confidence in everything that you do.
well, man, part of unsung is to shed some light on people that have just been doing this behind the scenes, doing things. You've been doing it. There's many others that have been doing it for many years too, and we like to encourage our guests when they come on. And so what we've heard about you is that you're loving, that you're caring, that you learn quick, You play for the song. You play for the room. I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
You have great charisma, and you also have excitement for life. And
Mm-hmm.
when I first saw you, that excitement, like I was like, this is this guy's. Actually, when I first saw you, you broke the snare bottom of the drum set you were playing on because you didn't bring your snare. And then we were like, what's going on? And after the set, we were like, man, this was like the best service ever. And then we went back and went, oh, Joey broke Homeboy was playing. So I just remember that right now. I was like, oh man, I totally forgot you busted the bottom snare or the bottom head. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But man, those things, those qualities people say that you are. You're loving, you're caring, great charisma, excitement for life. And man, I think that another thing is just you're a great friend. And so I think we just want to encourage you. That's a big part of what we're doing here is just encouraging the ones that are behind the scenes, because it's a hard job, and it takes a lot of mental strength, a lot of physical strength to do what you do, and so man, we hope you feel encouraged today. My last question to you is that thinking about that person, it doesn't have to be a musician, doesn't have to be anything. Thinking of that person that is behind the limelight in any industry. How would you encourage them? What would you tell them today?
Oh man, it's a great question.
I mean, think about, those school teachers, think about the bus drivers, think about, the cafeteria workers, or, a restaurant person, or a police officer, anybody, man. I mean, it could be anybody who kind of has to do some behind the scenes stuff, because their role in life is important, right?
Yeah, man. You're important. You're you're not overlooked. You're the foundation, very foundation of a lot of the people that's in the limelight. We praise the ones that's in the limelight, and that's fine. That's fine. But recognize that you, the person behind the scenes, are the blood. You're the motor behind whatever car you're in. You're the motor behind whatever vehicle you're in. You're the veins of every corporation. You're the most important part. And I think a lot of times, in my personal opinion, those people get overlooked. But I'm here to tell you, I see you. I see the busboy who's, barely making ends meet, taking orders from some Karen over here that's giving him trouble and doesn't tip him. You know what I mean? My 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 family are a family of builders, and so we sometimes get overlooked. We're sort of the foundation of hooking up with people and saying, "Hey, I'll build this with you. You got an idea? I'll help you with it." And so be encouraged and know that you, from my point of view, are not overlooked. We see you and we salute you and we give you your flowers.
Man, thank you, Joey. And if you're watching today, listening today, wherever you're at, and you're like, hey, I want to meet this guy because I have a song, or I just want to take him to go get some Tex-Mex. You can see it you can find it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Look up Av Audio, Creative Minds, and message Joey. He's a brilliant mind in our community, and he's doing some great fun stuff. Man, I'm happy to know you, honored to know you, man, and it's been fun to chat with you for a little bit. We're gonna have to do it again and get some more people on here to chat. But man, thanks for being on Unsung today, and man, we hope the best for you, buddy.
Peace and blessings, Blake, man. Thank you for having me.
To this place that's around him, he's lightning.
We want to thank beautiful contributors for allowing us to use their music for the Unsung podcast. You can support them by going to any platform, anywhere you listen to music, and purchasing and listen to their music. They also might have some vinyl or CDs still available. You can reach out to them, but support beautiful contributors.